Movie and Music Network, offering underground, pop, and esoteric cinema. Discover more at movieandmusicnetwork.com. Louis Zamperini is an Olympic athlete who joined the Air Force in World War II. But when his plane is shot down, he spends 47 harrowing days in a life raft.
We're gonna die out here. We're not dying!
But when the Japanese Navy rescues him, his story of survival becomes more challenging.
If I can take it, I can make it.
In Unbroken.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm here with Zorianna and Leah. We are here today to discuss Angelina Jolie's new film, Unbroken. We've all just seen it. Leah, what'd you think?
When we see movies that are about suffering, they generally tend to be suffering in the face of some kind of injustice. When I think about films like Passion of the Christ, Lone Survivor even, 12 Years a Slave, where there's a lot of trauma to the body, people endure that and they survive it in spite of all of the injustice in which it occurs. Unfortunately, we don't have that here with Unbroken.
What do you mean by there's no injustice? When
I got to the end of the film, I really didn't care. I didn't care about what he endured throughout the course of the film. One, because we were at war, and two, there were other POWs who were experiencing similar types of abuses to their bodies. And so I kept wanting to see what it is that he is actually having to overcome. And if you just lay low in a raft for 45 days, you'll survive. While we may not agree with the Japanese's practices with regard to POW camps, we were at war.
Sure.
So I'm trying to figure out what is the call to him being heroic.
Yeah.
How is he heroic here? Why do I need to care?
Well, that's the thing, he wasn't heroic, and that was what kind of my issue is I was waiting for the big, like, I'm gonna save everybody, and that's the story we're telling, and it just doesn't happen. Everything happens to him, and it's horrible, but when it was over, I was like, okay.
The reason we're watching this movie is because it's based on a best-selling book. Hollywood is using the book.
Right.
And it's the reason it's been on the best-selling list
Right.
for years, because this is a story of survival. This is a man who, by all intents and purposes, could have died at any number of the stages of the things that he went through. And what makes it even more interesting, and which is why he was bearing the brunt by the Japanese, was because he was a quote-unquote celebrity.
The book is the book and the film is the film. And I think that what people experience from reading the best-selling book did not come out in the execution of the film. We have characters that are pretty much one note and flat. What we learn from the end of the film is, ooh, the Japanese are evil. Really? There's no nuance, there's no subtlety.
And that's my biggest problem with the movie is that I see, okay, you know, he survived the plane crash, he survived 47 days at sea, he survives the POW camps. You see all this survival and it happens to one person, and that's kind of the wow. But each of those sections seem like different movies that I've already seen.
I'm gonna kill him.
Then they shoot you.
I don't give a damn, let him shoot me.
That's not how we beat him. We beat him by making it to the end of the war alive. That's how we do it.
You have a real writing pedigree behind this film.
Yeah.
You've got
The Coen brothers,
Right.
I know.
You've got
I know.
Richard LaGravenese.
And that's the thing, you know, the pedigree with the writing, I mean, these writers have a style,
Yeah.
you know, like a distinct style, and none of that style is here. But the thing is that I do personally think we're harping too much on the screenplay, because I really don't think it is the screenplay. I actually think it's our director. I think it's Angelina Jolie. I think that is the person who set the tone for the type of film that we were going to see.
I felt like she was being very safe. It's a very big movie, very expensive. You know, it was shot by Roger Deakins. It looked beautiful.
But see, despite all of this, like, I still loved it. I'm a sucker for these survival stories of overcoming the odds. But I knew that I was getting manipulated that way. I knew, but I went with it.
I think the cast is great. I think Jack O'Connell is fantastic. And in another year, he might have been nominated for an Oscar, but I think we unfortunately have a lot of really good male performances this year.
He's too new.
I didn't like, right, but I did not like Takamasa Ishihara as the villain because two things. One, at the end, they showed the real pictures of the people. And he was like this kind of big, kind of guy, and what she cast is this an androgynous pop star from Japan.
Well, we know
and
why.
That's really what he
that's
is.
business. That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
But we don't know who this guy is. We've
Right.
never heard of him. So Japan might, but we don't know who he is. So he seemed slight. He seemed effeminate.
I thought that the casting, the fact that she cast unknowns or relative unknowns,
Yeah.
at least
Was
to
important.
U.S. audiences, was very important.
Yeah.
There is no danger taken here as a filmmaker. There is no spark of spontaneity or just to just go for it. Everything was just like almost like a paint by numbers.
Which is strange because her last movie, her first movie, In the Land of Blood and Honey, seemed to be a little bit more edgy. And I mean, a lot of it was in another language.
But there was nothing at stake there, you know. It's not a big studio.
It seemed more her. Whereas this seemed more...
Clint Eastwood.
Right, or Spielberg. It seemed like she shifted tone, and I wondered why
Because she fell in love with her subject matter. I mean, her and Louis did develop a friendship. There are pictures of them together that we've seen in the media, especially since his death in June or July.
For me, some of the action sequences in the planes. Those were riveting,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Ooh, I want to see more of this." So, being a fan of action, yes, that's when it really, for me, got the adrenaline going.
This is a mildly interesting story, and this guy certainly was put through hell, but I feel like I had seen it before, so I'm just going to give it a stream it.
There's a lot of good work here with Unbroken, but unfortunately, the film fails to lift. I'm going to say skip it.
A film like this should be seen on the big screen. I'm also a sucker for these inspirational type of films, so I say see it.
Well, our vote's set up to 1.5 tickets, which is a stream it for Unbroken.
Cheers.
To putting the pieces back together.
I can't wait to get out of this turtleneck. Now that turtlenecks are banned from the show.
They're banned. Go ahead, Kevin.